Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The new close range meta here in Warzone is extremely competitive after Season 2 Reloaded. We saw several different meta updates and weapon updates happen then, and really across a handful of different categories, you've got a lot of really good options for the close range meta. And so today we're breaking down all the best loadouts you want to be running for the close range, specifically starting first with one of my personal favorites, the Ram 9. I made a couple of adjustments to this one recently to make it a bit more aggressive, and I'm really loving the feel of this. So initially here I am going for the ZEM 35 compensator. This works so good for close range weapons. It barely hurts your ADS speed, hurts your velocity a little bit, which for the close range is not an important factor whatsoever, and it gives you some decent control and some firing aim stability, which makes the weapon a whole lot easier. I also go for the Imperator light barrel. This is actually buffed and extends the range and velocity some. Again, velocity not a huge deal, and the strafe a little bit too, which is nice, but really the range here is what's important. Extending that effective damage range means a faster TTK for longer, which is obviously very clutch. I also go for the DR6 hand stop, better strafe speed, ADS speed, movement speed, sprint to fire, just making the whole gun a whole lot more aggressive. Basic 50 round extended mag here. Then I also go for the HVS 3.4 pad stock. Hurts your mobility a tad bit, but we've already gained so much elsewhere that that's not a huge deal, and it makes the weapon a whole lot easier to use as well. So adds some consistency and some stability to the overall setup. Like I said, ton of fun. It's very snappy and aggressive, but it's also really easy to use. Now, right up there with the Ram 9 in terms of the best SMGs is, of course, the AMR 9. This thing's TTK is best in class. It's just a tad bit slower with its sprint to fire and its ADS speed, but we can attack those pretty well, all things considered. So again, here, I've got the ZEM 35 compensator. I also go for the skeletal vertical grip. This gives me better vertical control, but also better ADS speed and better sprint to fire. So a little bit of best of both worlds there. Pretty clutch attachment, all things considered. For an SMG build, I do go for the 50 round mag. 100 is just going to slow you down a little too much for the close range. Now on a rifle build or like a hybrid build, you could get away with this, but specifically for an aggressive build, you're not going to want that, unfortunately. I also go for the glassless optic here. The irons are a little bit bulky. That said, if you're okay with the irons, go for the phantom rear grip instead. This thing is super clutch for sprint to fire. Then lastly, I do go for the buffer tube stock. This helps out with sprint to fire, strafe, ADS speed, really all movements, end up benefiting from this and makes it a whole lot more aggressive and a lot more agile there, which is really what this gun needs to be. The ultimate SMG, so this gets it as close to that as possible. And of course, like I said, it's TTK. It just melts through everyone. And then no surprises, the big three, we're touching on these right away. The HMR 9 or the HRM 9, whatever it's called, is also right there with the AMR 9 and with the Ram 9 as well. This thing's got kind of the best of both worlds in terms of what the AMR and the Ram offer in their own individual way. Kind of combines them both. So it's fast and it also kills quick, which I think is really convenient. So initially, I go for no stock. Personally, a lot of players won't love the bounce that this introduces, so I'd recommend the light stock instead, but I do love the mobility benefits that no stock offers. That's why personally I lean towards this with my level of comfortability with this gun. I also go for the 50 round extended mag on here, pretty basic. The angled underbarrel attacks that horizontal control and it doesn't hurt you anywhere else. So yeah, you're getting some vertical recoil, not a big deal there, but it's not killing your ADS speed or your sprint to fire like some other control based underbarrels would do. I also got the Princeps long barrel on here, extends that damage range where this thing's already super lethal out even more. Super important obviously for that fast TTK. And then yet again, the ZEM 35 compensator, no surprises there. Really between any of the three previous SMGs, this, the AMR or the Ram, you can't go wrong. They are so good. And speaking of the Rams, the Ram 7 is also very good here as like a sniper support style rifle here. I do usually combine the sniper support and the close range meta into one for you guys just out of convenience sake, and the Ram 7 is arguably the best sniper support gun that we have in the game. The AMR 9 would be its like closest comp, I would say, and it just depends if you want an SMG or a rifle there. This is obviously going to be a little bit slower, but as long as you got your sights up in the close range, this thing's TTK is absolutely insane. So initially I go for the Castus break, limits that horizontal bounce and gives you better firing aim stability. It really just makes this thing an absolute laser beam. Core Mark 40 heavy barrel helps out with range, velocity, and control, extends that lethal damage range out even more, so that fast TTK is going to be happening at further and further engagements. Ruin heavy support for some simple control there. The 60 round drum is a little bit slow for sniper support. It's not too bad, but it's noticeable. You could try a 40, but with this fire rate, you're going to run out of ammo pretty quickly. So I just say, you know what? It's okay. I'll be a tad bit slower if that means I don't have to reload in the middle of a fight, but either or there would work. And then I also go for the glassless optic here. Perfect optic for the close to mid range and just being consistent and keeping the gun easy. So the Ram 7 as a sniper support, probably at the top of my list. Hey everyone, real quick, want to give a shout out to my friends over at Control Freak. I've been using Control Freaks for what feels like forever, honestly, and really I feel like I can't play without them because of what they bring to the table. With their performance thumbsticks, you get a better range of motion and better grip on your thumbsticks themselves. Their precision rings offer even more potential aim upgrades, and if you want the ultimate handle on your controller, they've got grips for that too. Like, we're talking the ultimate controller loadout here. If you ever want to grab a pair of Control Freaks or any of the accessories, be sure to throw in code Immortal at checkout for a nice discount. The link for that will be down in the description below if you're interested. But there's also some other very close competitors within sniper support as a meta itself, the BP50 being one of those. This thing is so aggressive. Its strafe speed, its ability to move, run and gun as a rifle and SMG hybrid is a ton of fun. I love the feel of this one personally. It's also incredibly easy to use, like low recoil in any sort of engagement you're going to be taking with this as a sniper support build. So Zem 35 compensator yet again, you might get the hint that this is a really good compensator for the close to mid range. I also got the hand stop on here. The DR6 helps out with movement speed, strafe speed, ADS speed, sprint to fire, getting all sorts of solid benefits out of that. 45 round mag, extended mag is the max here. You do have to reload a lot because this has a fast fire rate, but you just have to live with it. It's okay. It works just fine. Glassless optic yet again, although you could also go for the iron sight here as well and maybe throw on like a comb or a rear grip or even a barrel for better mobility if you wanted to, if you're okay and comfortable with those iron sights, because I think they're pretty good. Glassless is also just such a constant and consistent optic though that it works well too. I got the Mote 40 stock on here to round things out, helps out with control and a little bit of mobility too, so you're getting the best of both worlds there as well. Really convenient setup, very versatile and super easy. Then another really good sniper support option is actually the FR Avancer from MW2. There aren't too many good MW2 guns in the meta right now, but this one is actually surprisingly good. It does have a little bit of like visual shake and smoke there from the muzzle, like all MW2 guns do, but its recoil pattern's not awful. It's got decent mobility and a really fast TTK in the close and the mid-range for a rifle, so it's certainly an option I wanted to throw in here and talk about as well, because I think it's kind of slept on in all honesty. I do go for the glassless optic in this case. With that firing aim stability and the clean blue dot, you're just hitting on all things you want out of a good optic here. The irons are all right, but this just allows me to be a lot more accurate personally. 60 round extended mag, again a fast fire rate, so I do like having the larger mag here even if it slows me down a little bit more, but if you really care about that mobility, 45 would work. I also got the Bruin heavy support on here, pretty standard as well, just making this gun even easier, and a lot of MW2 guns are going to need that horizontal control and then also the idle sway and firing aim stability benefits that something like this would offer. 435 barrel here, better control, better velocity, making it easier and more efficient in that sniper support range. Then lastly, the Spirit Fire Suppressor, better range, velocity, control here. If you wanted to go for a compensator, Zem or Komodo or Cassis Break would also work well here in this case, but if you want to stay off the map, this is a good replacement to those. So yeah, don't sleep on the FR Avancer. It's surprisingly good. And by the way, as we're going through all the setups here today, if you guys enjoy the video or if you find it helpful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. It really does help the channel grow. And of course, much love to all those who do take the time to do so. I see you each and every day killing it with the support. I really do appreciate it. And if you guys are new to the channel or you simply haven't subscribed yet, every day I'm your one-stop shop for all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button if you want to guarantee you're always up to date with news, updates, patch notes, and of course meta breakdowns as well. Next up here we got the Wasp Swarm. It in the close range specifically, like the first 8 to 10 meters is where this thrives. There's no better definition of the close range meta, right? So this thing is also a weapon that we have to talk about, of course, here. I do initially go for the glassless optic. It does slow you down a little bit, that ADS speed, but it's also just so clean that I love it. If you wanted to use a slate reflector or like a NIDAR or something else, that would also be sufficient as well. I go overkill for the 100 round drum in this case. It's slow, it's heavy, but it's 100 rounds on an SMG and you can just spray and pray. Realistically, 50 is probably the better choice, but 100 is just so much fun. A hand stop on here yet again, better strafe speed, better mobility all around with the ADS and sprint to fire, obviously getting back some mobility that we lose with the 100 round mag. I do go for the Reckless 90 long barrel only because of its range benefits. That's really all I care about here. Extending this fast TTK damage range, that effective damage range out to 8 meters is clutch in keeping this weapon in the conversation. If this wasn't the case, if this wasn't on here, probably wouldn't bring it up. It's just too limited in its range without that. And then I also go for the compensator yet again, Zem 35, just to keep the gun easy and consistent because it's got a pretty fast fire rate, so that control is certainly noticeable. But yeah, the Swarm, it's hanging in there. Now it's you know, definitely not at the top of the close range meta, but it's in the conversation for sure. Also been absolutely loving the Wasp 9 feel in this game, just all throughout. Not even just this season, but season 1 as well since launch. The Wasp 9's been one of my favorite feeling SMGs. Reminds me a lot of the Milano from Cold War. It's just really consistent, really easy, and it's got a decent close to mid-range TTK as well. So initially here, surprise, surprise, glassless optic. When in doubt, throw this sucker on and you're gonna be good. Also, the irons are just too bulky for my liking here. 50 round extended mag, pretty basic all things considered. DR6 hand stop yet again. I go for the ZEM35 compensator. If you wanted to just stay off the radar, this thing is so easy that you could just go for the Shadow Strike suppressor and it just simply hides you off the minimap. You don't have to worry about losing ADS speed or control or anything. It's just built for that. So that would be a nice replacement here. But if you can make a weapon super easy and laser beam like, I say why not? So I do go for the ZEM35 in this case. Then lastly, the short barrel on here, better ADS speed, better sprint to fire, a little bit better general sprint speed, as well as nice for very minimal recoil cons there. So just speeding it up a tad bit and making it a little bit more aggressive is nice for, you know, obviously pushing close range, pushing buildings with this thing and playing a little bit more fast paced in general. The base striker is also a solid go-to here, especially for the close range. This thing is really aggressive, just flat out has great mobility stats, and it's also very easy to use. So you're checking all the right boxes with this thing for sure. Surprise, surprise, ZEM35 compensator. Shadow Strike would also be sufficient here just because the gun is so easy as is. I do go for the long barrel again just to extend out that damage range. That's what I really care about the most here, getting that effective damage range out to the best possible place I can, just to make sure it has a fast TTK and can compete with others at, you know, 10, 12, 15 meters, whatever the case may be. DR6 hand stop to speed things up. The 48 round extended mag I find sufficient with this fire rate. If you wanted to jump it up to 60, feel free to do so. I don't find it to be totally necessary though. Then lastly, I go for the light stock. No stock could work here. You're gonna have a little bit more control, so maybe you want to swap something out for an optic instead just to be a tad bit more accurate. It's something to think about though. They both would work well depending on how exactly you want the weapon to behave and how much mobility you really factor into a weapon build. But this thing is pretty solid. It's holding its own. Personally though, I do like the Striker 9 a little bit more than the base Striker. The feel of this thing with how aggressive I can play with it, how aggressive it is outright with its general mobility, and then how easy it is as well. Pretty basic in terms of recoil control. With the fast TTK, it's just doing it right. I love the feel of this thing as well. And like I said, prefer it a tad bit more over the base Striker, but both are good. It's more of a preference thing at the end of the day. ZEM35 compensator yet again. I go for the long barrel in this case too, once more just extending out that damage range. 50 round drum, you'll want this. This does have a slightly faster fire rate, so that's important to note. I go for the night hour here if you wanted to use glassless or a basic slate. Good option as well. And then no stock, just because this is a little bit easier in my opinion. I can get away with this and, you know, have a compensator on here, and it's going to be really easy to stay on target. So snappy and aggressive, kills quick, easy to use, checking all the right boxes yet again. Then lastly here, I've actually got the Renetti pistol. They buffed this thing's close range damage on the conversion kit, and it actually can hold its own. Now it's a little bit slow for a pistol, and I do think SMGs are more reliable, but it's certainly an option if you're looking to build a loadout with a pistol instead and you want to have this as a secondary as opposed to a full-on primary with like the default overkill, right? So first things first, you do have to have the Ferocity carbine kit on here. Turns it into basically an SMG and pistol hybrid. It's full auto, pretty aggressive, and it's very fun, and this is what actually has the competitive TTK. I do go for the Eclipser rear grip. It's better sprint to fire, better strafe and base movement speed, so makes it a little bit more aggressive. The 30 round mag I find to be sufficient. 50 is a little bit slow for a pistol build in my mind, but if you wanted to jump up to it, I wouldn't say, you know, don't do it whatsoever. I wouldn't advise against it. I just prefer the speed of the 30 myself. I got the Kimura vertical grip on here, helps out with some control, but then also strafe speed and base movement speed, so it's still feeling pretty aggressive and easy to use. Then lastly, the sonic suppressor. Really, I again care about the range here some, just extending that fast TTK range out. It actually can hold its own against several different SMGs, so long as you are hitting your shots. I don't mind the irons. Some players probably won't love them, so you could swap out an underbarrel or a rear grip for those if you really care about a red dot or a glassless or something, but you got a lot of options in the close range meta right now, and all of them are very, very good, which is always great to see for a healthy and competitive meta. That said, that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out to guarantee you're always up to date with all things going on between Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you later. Peace out.